Hold on one second. All right. All right. Well, welcome everybody to our Building Depth LifeVantage opportunity call. This has been a treat to have these leaders willing and able to jump on and not only guide you through this opportunity that's available right now, but really to be a solution and a help to what's going on right now. We have some great information on health, great information on working from home and allowing, I think, to make a good situation out of a crazy situation right now. And there's a lot of people at home that maybe wouldn't normally be there. And so I've enjoyed helping friends and family and loved ones find ways to find, maybe some comfort in the situation we're going through right now as things kind of start to change back, hopefully, and get close to there. I don't know if we'll ever have exactly the normal, but at least a new normal. And this has been a neat time to allow people to jump on and maybe take the time to jump on a call that they maybe wouldn't have in the past. And when they do, I think they're finding some very, very neat information, something that we found years ago, something that's completely personally changed my life. We were able to find LifeVantage, work the business for years. 3 years ago, our family was in a bad accident, and we ended up very grateful for the health products and very grateful for the business that we had set up that was leveraged, right? It didn't require us to go punch a time clock and beg a boss for a day off. We needed months off. My wife, had her leg amputated as a result of that. My 2 daughters were paralyzed. We didn't need a few days off or a few sick hours, right? We needed time. Yeah. And I hope today, when you really look at these options, I hope nothing like that ever happens, but I really hope that you can look at this in a way that if you want some time back, if you want some of the health freedoms and the proactive approach towards finances, that proactive approach towards health, proactive versus reactive is one of my best ways of trying to explain this in a nutshell. But today we got a special treat for you. I get to host and just kind of welcome everybody. Mark and Krista Harris are going to be our presenters today, and I think this has been great to have something on here every day, same time. If it's something you like, something you see, you can get right back on here tomorrow, and we'll have different people, different personalities saying the same message, same story, adding their story to the mix as well. So I hope this was helpful. You guys tune in, take some notes, and I'm grateful for those that trusted your friends enough and family enough to jump on as guests. Thank you. Those of you who have been in for a while and take some notes on maybe how to present, and there's some things that you learn that will help you be a better presenter and a better communicator, and to help this get exposed to the world. We know it's going to help them. We need to get it to everybody. So a little bit about Mark and Krista. We've enjoyed working with them in our team for a long time. I'll just say this. Mark's one of those kind of guys. I'm not sure if Chris will be joining us, but Mark's one of those kind of guys for me personally. Great mentor, great business partner. But the reason he's great at those things is because he's someone I would probably call if I had a spiritual question, someone I would call if I had a financial question, marriage question. I mean, I could literally probably make a big list. And him and I have a great relationship. In a lot of areas when it comes to counseling each other and working together. And I can't think of a better person to walk you through ways to improve your health and ways to improve your financial situation by following a path, a system, and something that has been set up for years. And so many people have taken advantage of it. And I hope that you see what it's worth here, and then you can pick out the pieces that you like and that you can use in your life. And I hope you find something of value. So Mark, I'll turn it over to you, and I'll give you controls. You can share your presentation, and I'll be here to close up at the end. But thank you so much for taking your time today and your friendship and the ability to jump on and lead us through this and show people what we're doing. So we're excited. Thank you. I'll turn it to you, Mark.
It's a little weird, honestly. For those of you that don't know Blue, he is a legend, and he's one of my heroes. And the fact that Blue is introducing me is really upside down today, but we're going to go with it. I'm so appreciative, brother, that you would serve in that capacity, and that's just how Blue rolls. He is a servant leader, and you're going to find a lot of folks like that. in this culture. If you're a guest today, if someone has invited you to take a look at something, we are honored to have you here. We want to keep this as tight as we can, but here's the challenge. I'm going to do my best to present something that has been really influential on not just me as a man, but on our family. And because we saw something 10 years ago that we weren't expecting, we were definitely praying for, we didn't know that we were praying for this, a whole new way of living, and a lot of benefits physiologically and mentally and emotionally, but also financially. And it's kind of a new paradigm. And so you can imagine somebody who has had that sort of change or transformation in their life over the last 10 years, including personal development, trying to communicate that in a genuine, authentic way in an hour, right? So that's our challenge. I've got some slides I want to pull up here, but let me just say before we get into the presentation, if you're looking for something, if you're like me, if you're the kind of person that's been praying for something, take a breath, right? Nobody's selling you anything. Nobody's going to try to convince you of anything. There's no highly skilled sales techniques going on here. I just want you to see what we see, right? And I know this, if you give good people good information, typically they'll make a good decision. And if you are happy right where you are, if life has worked out perfectly for you, and I'm being a little sarcastic, but there's some people that really like what they do, and that may apply to you. If you're happy with the status quo, rock on. No one here, the person that invited you to take a look at this today, is not trying to get your eye off the ball. We're just trying to figure out if this is a tool or a set of tools that fits well in your toolbox to do that thing that God's called you to do, right? So that's the deal. If this sounds good to you, we'd love to have you as either a customer looking at the benefit of our products, or hopefully you see what we see, that this is not only the most incredible business opportunity we've ever heard of, we get to participate. And here's a question I'll preface my presentation with. If Steve Jobs had called you up in 1977, then I understand market fluctuations and risk and, you know, all the variables that go into an investment or a business opportunity. But with all the risk that he was facing, and Steve Wozniak and his little tribe of rebels in 1976 and 1977, if you'd gotten a call from that guy and it went something like this: hey, Bob, you don't know me, but I got your number from your mother-in-law or your friend, and they suggested I give you a call. They said you might be interested. I'm developing a small company. I'm going to call it Apple. And I believe it's going to change the way people communicate into the foreseeable future. Would you be interested in something like that we were still in a pioneering phase? Well, knowing what you know about Apple, would you take that call from Steve Jobs? Would you have a cup of coffee or sit down at his kitchen table or your kitchen table and have that conversation? To me, that's what we're doing today. And I literally see the information that you're going to hear today, perhaps for the first time, that same way. Steve Jobs did not call me in 1977, but we began to see something that was fundamentally going to change the world, we think, in our opinion, as we know it. I'm going to share my screen to keep us on track here, and hopefully that will get us in and out the door in an hour. And let me just do this. All righty. And let me see if I can get to where I can see. Bert, can you see that okay? All right, buddy. Thank you. We're talking about nutrigenomics. This is a new paradigm in health and in business. The name of the company pioneering this new technology is called LifeVantage. I want to show this slide just because it means I am a recovering knucklehead. And at some point, I may say something stupid. But if I tell you what, with no previous experience in doing any kind of networking or at-home business other than my freelance graphic design business, we didn't know what to do. And what has transpired is we've been introduced not only to a product line and a business opportunity, we've been introduced to a system and mentorship that's allowed us to cultivate the skills and the relationships and the ability to share this information with the utmost integrity to the best of our ability. And it's something that we've really enjoyed because it meant that we didn't have to compromise who we were. My wife and I have served as career missionaries with an awesome nonprofit, the largest non-denominational missions organization in the world. known as YWAM, or Youth with a Mission. We've been in over 40 nations between the two of us. So we're not dollar chasers in that sense of the word. That's a picture of some of the work that we used to do internationally. That top right picture was a medical outreach that my wife and I co-led with her dad, Glenn Shepard. And there were some 3,000 to 5,000 people. Nobody counted, but that was the best estimate of Nepalese in a really remote section of southern Nepal. My one memory that stands out to me even to this day, we had a Nepalese surgeon with us that performed a field mastectomy on a picnic table, double mastectomy from a gal who walked in 3 days and ostensibly walked home after that. My brother held the flashlight for that procedure. And so coming back to the States during the financial collapse of 2006 and 2007, I had very low tolerance for first world problems. And maybe that was a great preparation for facing 4 years, 4 months, and 4 days in that orange apron that you see on the bottom right. That young man is a kitchen designer at the local Home Depot at the Bannister Mall location here in Kansas City. And I was miserable. Perhaps some of you know what I'm talking about. Perhaps that might apply to you. So again, if you're the type of dad or mom that's staring at the ceiling fan at night going, Lord, this ain't working, may I propose that something has come your way that could change that if you take advantage of it. While that almost 4.5 years in my orange apron was really challenging, in retrospect, I see the benefit because it allowed me a new perspective on the old industrial age idea of the way we make income, the way we earn money. And I was taught, perhaps you were, I'm 55. I know we've got some millennials and even younger on the call today. But we were taught growing up that you go to school to make good grades so you can get a good job. And you do that for 40, 50 hours a week, or you do that, and you do that for 40 or 50 years or more. Here's the problem, friends, and some of you have already realized this. When you get to that golden payoff day, you probably are not going to be able to survive on 40% of the income that you were making when you were trading that time for dollars during your working years. And I was watching guys in those orange aprons being unceremoniously dumped on their backside because the company didn't want to sustain their benefits into 20-year tenures. And that was a bleak proposition indeed for me. Here's a poll that came out by Gallup organization in August 2017. It says, and continues to say, that over 85% of all Americans hate what they do every day for income. I'm going to say that again. 85% of all Americans hate, H-A-T-E, hate what they do every day for income. And those numbers project not just nationally. Those are universal numbers now globally. Think about that. What kind of life is that? That 2/3 of your life, of your waking hours, are doing something that you loathe. Another poll came out by Forbes the year before, July 2016, that 95% of all Americans, and now those numbers also translate globally, will never retire. Everybody who goes to work as an employee or as a small business owner will never walk away from that gig. So let me ask you, is that your plan? Is that your plan A? What if there was a better way? Maybe I can ask it that way. Why do you do that? Well, you would say, as I did, well, bro, I got to put food on my table. I got to put shoes on my kids. There was a moment 10 years ago that my wife came out of the bathroom and in our house here, we bought a foreclosure, getting out of my in-laws' basement after 2.5 years, not on my bucket list. I was working 2 full-time jobs. I mentioned my freelance graphic design business and my kitchen design business at Home Depot. We bought a beautiful foreclosure, but anybody that's ever bought a foreclosure will tell you there's over 347 projects. The minute you buy that sucker, you walk in the door and you start realizing, well, the water heater's about to go out and there's a leak here and a leak there and that carpet needs to be pulled out. We weren't making it. My wife came out of the bathroom. She was in tears. And I said, baby, what's wrong? She said, I just did the budget and all 3 kids need shoes, 2 going back to school after spring break, and we don't have it. That was my moment. I was busting my tail working 2 full-time jobs, and we weren't making it. I know some of you, under the sound of my voice, know exactly what I'm talking about. What if there is a better way? Well, some people would say there is a better way. I can drive Uber or I can drive Lyft. We have friends, good friends that have MBAs that are driving Uber and Lyft, not because they like picking up strangers at 3 in the morning or putting miles on their car or all the maintenance associated with those miles, but because they need the extra income. We have other friends, good friends, that have a little equity in their home. They have a property that they can lease part of their house out through a room or in a garage or an ohana, maybe their whole house on Airbnb. Airbnb has become the largest provider of hotel space in the world. They do not own one single property. Think about the advent of Facebook, all the marketing dollars, all the revenue that's being generated globally with 2 clicks of a mouse. If I'd have told you 30 years ago, you could have access to 2 billion people with 2 clicks of a computer mouse. Well, what's a computer mouse? So fast, so quickly times have changed. Think about Amazon and the meteoric rise of that organization. Just 20 years ago, they were sort of a byword. Now, they have become these behemoths in the retail space, replacing the likes of Walmart. Who saw that coming? Well, this is kind of the same thing. We're talking about a new technology that's going to do a lot of that. We're calling it the forefront of biohacking through nutrigenomics. Paul Zane Pilzer, who's a macroeconomist, presidential advisor to now 3 or 4 presidential administrations, says this famously: health and wellness is predicted to become the largest economic trend in world history. Think about that. Bigger than tech, bigger than anything. The largest economic trend in world history. And if you had a product or a service that it was the forefront, at the cutting edge of that new technology, what would that mean monetarily for you? Peter Drucker, another macroeconomist, taught at Harvard University for years, basically considered the father of management theory, came up with some fundamental components to a business opportunity. And these are just 4 of the many that he delineated. But we're going to start with these products. That's the door through which we came. And because they're so unique, these have not existed in 6,000 years of recorded history, friends. So we're going to spend a little extra time on the products to just do our best to communicate how unique and rare something like this is. I mentioned Steve Jobs. He says, if you have a chance to do something like this once in a lifetime, you need to grab hold of it with both hands. That is so remarkably rare. 99% of all people will never have a chance to participate with something this unique. But there's also, if you've got a great product but you don't pay people, they're probably not going to see it worth their time to share the information. If you've got a great product and a great compensation plan, but you're late on timing, well, you've missed the boat. And we all have stories about that. Think about Apple. Steve Jobs did not call me up in 1977, probably not you either. But even if you have those 3 components and you don't have somebody helping you, if you don't have a system to plug into, you're probably not going to get very far. I'll ask you this. I know we don't have any, everybody's muted right now, but if I were to ask you individually, can you tell me the #1 product that McDonald's sells globally? Do you think you know? I think Dan Mullering is the one that asked that question last week. Brilliant question. Is it hamburgers? Nope. Is it French fries? Nope. Is it milkshakes? Not even. The #1 product McDonald's sells are franchises. They sell their system, right? And people invest millions of dollars into McDonald's franchises, knowing that it's going to take 3 to 5 years of that investment to ever turn from that red side of the equation into the black. They also know that they're going to invest at least 6 months at McDonald's University. Why? Because McDonald's wants a Big Mac in Tokyo to taste exactly the same as it does in London or Chicago. That's the system. And so we're going to talk about all 4 of those things. And the challenge, as I said, is going to try to do that in less than an hour. The projected market of this particular domain, nutrigenomics, is expected to reach $17 billion in the next 3 years. I'm going to say that one more time. The projected market of nutrigenomics is expected to reach $17 billion in the next 3 years. So says the Market Research Futures Group. This is not a fad diet. It's not a new trend. This is something that's fundamentally going to change the way forever people look at health and wellness, right? There's 2 domains of biohacking that we're referring to. We're going to use that term in a general sense. There is a specific utilization of that term. The Silicon Valley types have been taking advantage of something called intermittent fasting, caloric restriction, to activate something called sirtuin for the cognitive function, all the metabolic benefits. We're going to talk about that in just a minute, but we're going to use biohacking in a more general sense. The FDA, which is one of our regulatory agencies that governs what we do, are broken into two domains, foods and drugs, right? So we're not talking about the drug side. That's being researched and developed, the same technology, the ability to activate the body system of genes, gene expression, through pharmacogenomics. So they're doing it synthetically through artificial chemicals and compounds. There are 5 levels of pharmacological testing. If you want to know about those, you can get with a pharmacist, but the purpose of that testing is to find out how much or how little that pharmacist needs to prescribe to not induce damaging effects. Now, there's a place for medicine. I know there's people on this particular Zoom call whose lives have been greatly affected and benefited by medicine. I know, and in fact, that we've got some practicing doctors on this particular Zoom, and we're so grateful that you guys are hanging out with us. And I feel like I'm taking stand to the beach here, because I should be turning my camera around and letting you talk. But how much sense does it make that only something that can kill you that can help you, right? How does something that we test for 50% of lethal dosage as the basis of pharmacology, how is that the only thing that can help the human body? Well, Hippocrates didn't think so. And a lot of people, a lot of smart people that have been practicing medicine over the centuries don't think so either. Enter this new advent of nutrigenomics. What if the food you were eating could actually do a better job of activating your body's own defense systems to do the thing that it was designed to do? That is nutrigenomics. That is biohacking that we're talking about. And so let me just give a disclaimer here. Our products are not intended to treat, cure, mitigate, prevent, diagnose any disease state. What they do is they reduce a condition. Our flagship products, our activators, reduce a condition called oxidative stress. That is the byproduct of free radical damage, metabolic damage, just as we burn food. And we'll talk just a little bit about that in detail. But I just want to make sure that we're clear. So a lot of times as we start sharing this information, people will ask questions like, hey, will this product fix Aunt Bob's whatever? And they'll list some sort of chronic condition. We're not going to go there. The FDA, the FTC will not allow us to make any kind of claims like that. But I can tell you this, our products fundamentally activate your bodies to the point that it's the best thing you could possibly do for your body. And here's why. 10 years ago, I stood in my mother-in-law's dining room. I was introduced to an ABC primetime investigative report. ABC has an Emmy award-winning journalist named John Quinones. Perhaps you've seen him. ABC heard about a new technology, this new formula that was being developed at the University of Colorado in Denver, a little laboratory called the Webb-Waring Institute for Antioxidant Research. They heard that it was an anti-aging pill. Well, that's ridiculous, of course. So with cameras rolling, ABC investigative reports walks in the door. John Quinones walks in and says, hi, I'm John. I'm with ABC. We'd like to ask you some questions. And the little scientist behind the desk, to my surprise, stands up, shakes his hand, and goes, well, come on in. We're happy to have you. Well, we hear you've got some exciting stuff going on here. Yes, we're very excited about it. And I began to chuckle. And he says, so you've got an anti-aging pill. Well, no, we don't have an anti-aging pill. We do have a formula that is slowing the biochemical causes of aging and disease called oxidative stress. I said, wait a minute. What is this a drug? No, it's not a drug. It's an all-natural formula. It's herbal, phytochemicals. Fascinating. Well, how do you prove that? That's quite a hyperbolic claim. He says, well, we're doing blood testing. So Quinones says, well, I'm here. Could you, I don't know, take my blood? So on national television with the cameras rolling, he has his blood drawn. He says, so how long is your test? Well, it's 30 days. And you're seeing what kind of results? Well, a dramatic drop. 40% reduction in the markers, the biochemical markers of aging, or oxidative stress, that lead to aging and disease. Well, I can't give you 30 days. This piece has to go to air in 2 weeks. So I'll be back in about a week and a half. And to my shock, he comes back, has his blood drawn again, and those markers are improved by 45% in 2 weeks. He goes on national television. He says, you know what? They could no longer distinguish the blood of an 80-year-old from a 20-year-old. And to my absolute disbelief, he concludes his report with these words. Well, maybe not on the outside, but deep inside within my cells, yes, indeed. For more, Go to our website at abcnews.com. And my mouth fell open. So now the wheels are turning, as perhaps they are for you. How are we hearing about this in my mother-in-law's dining room? How did you guys get patents on salad? That's ridiculous. Here's the story. Monday morning at that lab at University of Colorado in Denver, the phone started ringing. And it was the retailers, GNC, Costco Pharmacy, Rite Aid Pharmacy, some Walgreens stores. They all wanted that product. So you can imagine 5 guys wearing white lab coats, pushing pills into ugly little white bottles, sending them all over North America. That product sat on the shelves for 3 years at $60 a pop for a month's supply. Did you see it? I didn't see it. Had we found it in the back of GNC, GNC didn't even know where to put it, friends, because it's not a vitamin, it's not a mineral, it's not an antioxidant. Where do you put it? They put it in the back, right? Because it's not a GNC brand. They were selling less than a half a bottle per store per month. But here's where the story gets interesting. Study after study after study after study were being conducted and published at the highest level of research institutions in the world. This particular study done by the National Institutes of Aging was a 10-year study. This is astounding information. In their words, they say Protandim increased lifespan 7% in male mice. This makes Protandim the only supplement proven to increase lifespan in mammals. Period. Now, I don't know about you, friends. I don't know. There are people that will still say no. And some of the reasoning doesn't make sense to me. Some people say, well, I don't want to live, for 120 years. I don't want to, and I get it. If I can't remember my own name and somebody's changing my diaper, or, if I'm a liability in my family, I understand that, but we're not talking about that. If I can go out and play golf with my great-great-grandkids or walk my great-great-granddaughter down the aisle when I'm 107, I'm in, right? So we're not talking about the fountain of youth, but we are talking about something that has empirical proof that this product does something remarkable in the human body, and that is the reduction of the thing that causes aging and disease, oxidative stress, by 40% in 30 days. And the FDA has allowed us to say that. That's because these journals and publications were saying similar things. If you're a clinician, if you're a practitioner, if you're a research scientist, you're familiar with these journals. Free radical biology and medicine, the molecular aspects of medicine, PLOS ONE, aging cell. These are some of the institutions that have conducted research on these products. Harvard University, Colorado State, Virginia Commonwealth, National Institutes of Aging, as I mentioned. The American Heart Association has funded 2 studies, 2, on their own dime. Now, what kind of shady snake oil do you think the American Heart Association is going to validate and risk their reputation as an institution of the highest order on something like that? They don't do that. So where do you go to get scholarly information? If you want more information on particularly our flagship product, Protandim NRF2, you already know where to go if you're a professional. That's pubmed.gov. I would suggest that you avoid the opinion-based content online. There's lots of people with lots of axes to grind. So if you want to get scholarly, good information, go to Google Scholar or go to pubmed.gov. I'll show you this next slide. This is fascinating to me. I was not familiar with PubMed. This is the National Institute of Health's online library. This is basically the global repository for all medical research. If you type in oxidative stress in their search engine, this was a screenshot I took last week. There are almost 250,000 studies correlating the benefit of reducing oxidative stress and or the relationship between oxidative stress and aging and disease. Again, our products are not intended to treat, cure, mitigate, prevent anything. What they do, particularly this Protandim activator, is reduce oxidative stress. So if you're reducing something that 250,000 studies say would be a good thing to reduce, might that be something that you would want to take advantage of physiologically? Yes? Here's my next question. Might that be something that you would want to take advantage of as an entrepreneur if such an opportunity was afforded to you? Most people would say yes. I want to highlight this little number as well. On the right-hand side of your screen, those are the studies by year. Do you see that bell curve emerging? Study after study after study after study, and they're still going up. Millions and millions and millions of dollars are being spent to validate something that we already have in our pocket, that's already in our toolbox, like that I take every day. How amazing is that? So again, oxidative stress, you can see that it applies across the whole spectrum of physiology, from your cardiovascular system to your muscular system. The problem is the ability of our bodies to deal with this problem is compromised as we age. We lose roughly 10% effectiveness per decade in this problem. What causes it? Again, just metabolism, a poor diet, toxins, alcohol, smoking, medication, and then environmental pollutants like EMF as well. Pollutions in the air, inactivity, and conversely, exercise can both cause oxidation. So here's our approach. This is why this is so different. Imagine your house was on fire. There's a couple different ways to deal with that problem. For 30 years, the direct antioxidant industry has been telling you the way to deal with your house fire metabolically is to take direct antioxidants like blueberry or mangosteen or resveratrol, vitamin E, vitamin C, vitamin C. Here's the problem. The math simply does not work in that equation, right? You can't ingest enough blueberries or oranges or drink enough red wine, God rest your soul, or dark chocolate, as fun as that might be to try. You're going to get a tummy ache. You're not going to be able to sustain that amount of ingestion of anything, right? And besides, your body's making something on the order of 3 times 10 to the 23rd free radicals every day. The math just doesn't work on that. What if there was a thermostat or a series, hundreds of thermostats, regulating the internal temperature, and I'm using my fingers in air quotes here, regulating the gene expression to deal with that problem of oxidative insult? Well, then all you have to do is make sure the thermostat's on, right? As it was when you were 12 years old or 15 years of age. Friends, can I tell you, without being hyperbolic, that's exactly what our product does. This NRF2 activation, that's exactly what it does. It goes in and turns on the switches that are already doing that. Your body is already hardwired with that sprinkler system. So rather than trying to splash a Dixie cup's worth of blueberries on it, we're actually activating the body's ability to do what it was designed to do. How elegant is that? I find this information really fascinating. I'm going to move on to compensation in just a moment here. But before we leave the products information here in this section, I'll point out that the media endorsement has been huge and is growing. NBC, The Today Show, ABC, PBS, Wall Street Journal has done 2 favorable articles on us. But this is my favorite, I think. I want to share this with you. Because it's really funny to me what a little celebrity endorsement will do.
All right, so where do you get the energy? Seriously, I mean, look at you. Well, we've known each other a long time. We've passed. You don't ever get older.
Well, thank you. It's quite funny because, you know, people are kind of shocked when they hear that I'm 54 years old, and they say, how do you keep your youth? I have found something, Dr. Phil, that I think is the closest thing to the fountain of youth.
Oh, you do have a secret.
I have a secret, and I've never really talked about it. I've been doing this for the last few years. It's called Protandim, and it works. And I'm telling everybody about this.
You feel differently.
I do.
Because you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you're hitting the times, you're getting where you're supposed to be.
I have to be on the spot all the time.
Can I tell you that the day that Donny Osmond appeared on Dr. Phil, Protandim, our flagship product, that little blue bottle that you see right there, was the #1 term searched on the Google search engine. How long will this be a secret? Not much longer. What is this technology worth? Well, we're going to talk about that in just a second. I will tell you that this particular domain of science, particularly NRF2 activation, is enjoying the credibility validation of people like Washington State University, who in their words say NRF2 is likely to become the most important health promoting approach in the foreseeable future. NRF2 may become the most extraordinary breakthrough in the history of health. Their exact quote was medicine, right? Although this is not a medicine, it's not a drug, in the history of health. We've taken this technology and we've leveraged it across a multifaceted approach. If you ask any 10th grade biology student Where does the energy in your body come from? If they're an A student, they will tell you that that energy, that ATP energy, comes from mitochondria. What if there was a way to do the same sort of activation to stimulate mitochondrial biogenesis, or the creation of mitochondria, and the optimization of the health of those mitochondria to deal with things like, well, toxins or muscle recovery, right? We have that. That's our second product, NRF1 product. And you see that in that little silver bottle right there. I mentioned sirtuin activity, and a lot of folks taking advantage of caloric restriction and intermittent fasting. What if you could gain the advantages of doing that, but you could activate the body's own ability to do that as well, rather than trying to fast your way into metabolic health or reduce your calories? That's not sustainable. We have an NAD synergizer that's taking advantage of that science, but it's doing it in an all-natural way, that we're not trying to ingest NAD or NMAMTP. We're simply activating the body's ability to do that. So that's called our tri-synergizer. That's the foundation of our product line. Those products each work incredibly well on their own, but here's what happens when you take those products together. There's an exponential synergy that is expressed with each of those. Take, for example, the gene hemoxygenase. Now, that's a fascinating little research project. If you're a researcher, just type in on pubmed.gov HMOX1 and see what hemoxygenase can do in the body. Pretty fascinating. So again, these are activators. They're not supplements necessarily. We're not trying to get more junk in from the outside. LifeVantage, the company that's pioneering this technology, has done a brilliant job of executing a strategic plan to leverage this technology across the whole spectrum of application. So think $300 billion up for grabs in the anti-aging market. Where do you think that money's going to go, where people find out what we have our hands on? How about skincare? Why would Estee Lauder spend millions and millions of dollars to copy something that we have in our toolbox? Well, because she knows that something like this, that's actually clinically shown to slow the aging process, is going to have a dramatic effect on skincare. $121 billion a year industry. Interestingly, the story about Estee, they have launched that product. It's a nutrigenomic product, a cosmetic product in Europe. It's 5-part regimen. It's twice as much as our skincare line. The list of ingredients are about 5 times as long, with lots of multi-syllabic words that I can't pronounce. Why would she do that? Why would she launch that product line in Europe, which is not her primary market or not her strongest market? Turns out that there's a little company that has a patent to do that in North America, and they haven't found a way around that patent yet. That company would be mine, ours. Hair care is an $85 billion a year industry. We're now swimming in that pool. Pet care, people began giving these products to their pets and seeing remarkable results. Here's the cool thing about a pet. There's no placebo effect, right? So while you or I could have an argument over the efficacy of the validation of our science, Rover doesn't care. Rover just starts wagging his tail and jumping in the back of the pickup truck. Really fun before and afters on YouTube with some of our products for pets. Energy, if you could develop a smart energy product for your brain nutrition, wouldn't that be better than ingesting toxins to try to stimulate your adrenals to overcome fatigue and brain fog? That's a $53 billion a year industry. We're introducing the concept of smart energy. And weight management. We're changing the conversation from weight loss, and we're predicating a new conversation on the advent of a probiotic that actually makes it to your small intestines, where it's going to do some good. Anybody who studies behavioral developments, disorders, my mother-in-law has written, she's an author, and that's her domain. She will tell you that there is a distinctive connection between the brain and the gut. What if you could get people's guts healthy? Our weight management system is based on that premise, and we have just that in a probiotic that's unlike any other on the market. So these are our product packs. There's a silver pack. You get a 31% savings on that. We have a gold pack, $650, 33% savings on that. And we have a platinum pack. So the platinum pack comes with all these products that I've just mentioned, and then some. There's a 35% savings on those packs. There's actually a way that I'm going to share with you that you can share these products and actually make some extra income as well. But before I do that, let me just summarize the product section. If you're jumping on late, if you're just joined us, here's the takeaway. We have products that are slowing the biochemical causes of aging and disease called oxidative stress by 40% on average in 30 days. Nobody in 6,000 years of recorded history has ever been able to say that. We have a 2005 ABC Primetime Investigative Report that blew the lid off this thing that I think is a multi-billion-dollar marketing piece that we didn't pay for, validated by a globally syndicated news organization and now 26 peer-reviewed studies by research institutions at the highest order. If you want to do those research projects, go to pubmed.gov, get with the person that invited you. If you want to place a product order, we can get that taken care of in about 5 minutes. But I want to move on to the business side. I mentioned Steve Jobs at the top of our webinar here. I was a Mac fan from way back. I started with PC, and like many of you realize the error of my ways. I'm being sarcastic. But I love Apple products. I was down with the 1984 commercial and the rebellious few of Apple, and I bought into that, and I'm a Mac evangelist. Here's the problem. I've never made one penny off of recommending Apple to anybody, even though I'm one of their biggest fans. I saw the iPhone coming. Anybody else? The idea that you could take a BlackBerry and add an iPod to it, 10,000 songs in your pocket, turn it into a phone and put a camera on it with a touchscreen. I saw that coming. I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together for discretionary investment capital. I didn't make a dime off the iPhone, but Apple, here's their curve. You see what happened in 2007 between the iPod and the iPhone. Interestingly, they had some white water years. Their CEO and founder, Steve Jobs, actually left the company in 1985, only for them to bring them back. I'll tell you this, some of the guys that helped Jobs and that crew, Steve Wozniak, achieve what they have achieved at Apple, have served on our board of directors. Another name you're familiar with, Amazon, just in the last 13 years or so. You see that inflection point, that little purple star there, that's when they really took off. The gentleman that was overseeing international development for Amazon, his name is Vinayak Hegde. Anybody want to guess what Mr. Vinayak Hegde is doing these days? Yep, that's right. He's serving on the board of directors for LifeVantage Corporation. Do you think maybe leadership leaves clues? This is our timing phase. I mentioned Peter Drucker. This is actually his chart, the S-curve of business. There's basically 3 different phases to any successful business. 90% of all businesses fail in the first 3 to 5 years. Ours have done very well. I'll mention our stock here in just a second, but we're in the pioneering phase. Next, we expect a momentum phase where 80% of our growth will be realized. And then, of course, there's the stabilization phase, quaintly called too late here. For critical mass or momentum to occur, in this industry, that usually happens around 150,000 distributors in that individual country. Well, we only have about 85,000 globally. So you are still very, very early in the pioneering phase of this company. The question is not if this company is going to hit momentum. The question is when, right? I can tell you this though, the people that know, the people that manage trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars looking for the next big thing are investing millions of dollars in LifeVantage. Perhaps the name BlackRock means something to you, or Vanguard, or JP Morgan, or Renaissance, or Morgan Stanley, Smith Barney, Bank of America, RBC Capital Markets. We just rang the bell on the NASDAQ exchange just January 9th. This is our CEO, Darren Jensen, being interviewed by TD Ameritrade on the day. Again, I'm not a stockbroker. If the idea of investing in LFVN on NASDAQ is compelling to you, I would suggest that today might be a good day to check that out. That's all I'm going to say. I will tell you this, though. If we had taken that $1,250 for our Platinum Pack and invested it 10 years ago, we'd have made a little money on LifeVantage stock, for sure. But when I consider what we've been able to do as a family and helped other families do, had we made that through investing, the Securities and Exchange Commission would have already knocked on my door, because you can't do what we've done with just investing. That's because we've participated in the business opportunity as distributors, as independent home-based distributors. My wife and I worked very, very hard and have created a multi-million-dollar, multinational organization just through hard work, sharing these products with people that we know and love that need them. In our industry, think of the behemoths that have paved the way. companies like Amway and Avon and Herbalife. Avon's been around for over 100 years. Those companies generate, I think in 2019, generated over $20 billion between just the three of them. Those companies paid out 40% of that revenue to distributors. That's a lot of money. And so while I've heard people say, well, network marketing just doesn't work, and only the people at the top make that money, I can tell you that my experience has been something different. I can't comment really on that personal story or their experience, but I can tell you that LifeVantage, our company, pays out 48% of global revenue to distributors. So what we've been able to do is beyond just accepting the risk of an investment. We've actually created a personal franchise because of this opportunity. Here's how that's worked. I mentioned the 40-50 plan. Most people are familiar and comfortable with the idea you can go to work 40, 50, 60 hours a week. You're going to do that for 40, 50, 60 years, trading time for money. I will tell you, again, if you're coming on late, if that's your plan A, you're going to do that until the day you die. Now, if you're okay with that, great. What if there was a better way? What if there was a way to create leverage income? What if there was a way to create a financial engine to benefit not just you and your family, but tens of families, hundreds of families, thousands of families? What if you could help other families do the same thing to create retirement assets? We have that. That's the industry of network marketing. We also have a system, mentorship. I mentioned the leadership of the corporate side. I can tell you that there are decades and decades and decades of people who have done this, pioneered the way, and then turned around and dropped ladders for the rest of us to help us do what they have achieved. Again, in these markets, massive amounts of revenue being generated in the global spending on health, animal skincare, smart energy, smart weight management, hair care, $790 billion plus. This is a business that we own. We're partnering with LFVN on the NASDAQ, very low startup, unlike big business. We received our ROI not in 3 to 5 years, but in less than a year. I won't even tell you how fast we received our return on investment. That's because we went to work. We have the mentorship, we have the training, and here's a cool thing. We get a replicated website to help offer the world these products and share information. We also have the support of our corporate staff and headquarters in Sandy, Utah. Over 200 employees at our disposal that we don't have to pay out of our payroll to help us share this information. So basically, what LifeVantage pays us for is to do just that, to share this information. Is it easy? Not always. There's some people who think, network marketing is a scam, that it's a pyramid scheme. I can tell you, again, what we have found, our experience has been very, very different. That top left slide is where I want to spend a couple minutes here before we close out. This is our annual distributor's earnings statement. This is a document that we submit to the Federal Trade Commission every year. These are distributor ranks, and those are roughly commensurate with our income levels. Pro 1 through Pro 10 are our ranks in our company. You can see there at Pro 1, the average monthly commission is $61 a month. That was big for me because I was worried I wasn't going to have the money not only to buy my kids' shoes, but I needed to buy that product, and I didn't have it. So Pro 1 for us was a big deal. Pro 2 was $242 a month on average. Now, I don't know what your car payment is, but what if you could alleviate some of that car payment in achieving the rank of Pro 2? Would sharing this information be worth your time? A lot of people would say yes. How about Pro 3? $626 a month on average. Would $626 change your life? Well, for 90% of all people that submitted foreclosures in the 90s would have, the average foreclosure was based on a $500 a month deficit in people's income level. Would achieving that level of income and rank be worth sharing this information? A lot of people would say yes. I'll mention this. The lion's share of the revenue, the commissions paid out to our distributor field through LifeVantage go to these Pro 3 to Pro 7 ranks. You can see that by far and away is the majority of the revenue that's paid out. That means that guys wearing orange aprons have options. That means single moms standing in front of classrooms begin to have options. That means that sometimes if life slaps you in the face, as Blue mentioned a little while ago in the case of their family, you've already dug the well before you're thirsty, right? So we're not a get rich quick scheme. We're not a bikinis and Lamborghinis company. Not to say that if you want to drive a Lamborghini, that's your deal. I'm sure my 16-year-old will accept a ride from you. But we're not dollar chasers. We believe in creating those resources to go out and do things that will change the world. So would an extra $600 a month on average, would that be worth sharing this information? As I said, Pro 5s make an average of $3,000 a month. That brought me home with my orange apron, replacement income for me. That's when the penny dropped for me. At Pro 7, that's a 6-figure a year income if you can achieve that rank. Would that be worth your time? Most people would say yes. So again, we recommend if you're going to do the business, to do the business and not mess around with a hobby pack. If you're going to open McDonald's, we want to recommend that you would get a drive-through and have a French fry machine or a milkshake machine. We don't recommend you open a McDonald's. In fact, they won't let you do that. But we have 3 different ways to get going: silver, gold, and platinum, as I mentioned earlier. On that platinum pack, the overhead is $200 a month. That's your cost of doing business. When I was a graphic designer, my monthly overhead was over $1,000 a month just on print cartridges and paper, and that was waste. That was just a write-off for me. Our inventory are actually products that are metabolically, physiologically, emotionally, mentally beneficial for people. You're not just throwing them in the trash bin, right? That's the way most people are comfortable doing business. Our commissions pay 40% on those products up front. So every single person that you enroll as a frontline distributor pays $400 on that platinum pack. Now that made it worth our time to continue doing this while we learn the skills and how to share this information the right way. Would that be worth your time? Well, if you found 5 people, that would get your return on investment back and then some. If you do that, LifeVantage is going to pay you 2% every month thereafter, and a 10% match on every single person that you enroll. Then a mentorship bonus is that we help those people do the same thing, and LifeVantage pays us 5% on all the people that they find. That's about a $250 a month income. We do that again. You can see how geometric progression or exponential growth begins to occur. That generates roughly a $30,000 a year income if you build that out 5 by 5 by 5. So why would, if you do that, why would you ever stop doing that? That doesn't make any sense to me, and we didn't. We continued to grow this to a Pro 8 position, and I'll remind you what that means in just a moment. But we hit this pool. This is the elite global revenue sharing pool. 1% of all global revenue is shared by our top 4 ranks, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then the 8s, 9, and 10s share an additional 1%. 9s and 10s share again 1%, and the Pro 10s share 1% by themselves as well. So that's a really fun mechanism that's built into our culture that keeps us from sort of divulging or divesting into a fractured territorial sort of turf guarding culture. We don't do that. You'll see people that working together on this call. We're not even in the same team, but we support one another, and I love that part of this culture. So we're going to wrap up here. We're coming up on the top of the hour. Thank you so much for taking the time to take a look at this information. I'm going to ask you to join us. If this makes sense to you as it did for us, may I propose that this is the answer to your prayer. This is the thing that you've been looking for. And here's why I say that. It's especially if you're entrepreneurial, especially if you realize what you're doing isn't working. Here's a theoretical chart based on the old industrial age idea of trading time for money, that coin-operated employee. Let's read this from right to left. Let's say you make 6 figures a year. Most employees will never make 6 figures a year, but let's say it's theoretical, it's possible. It would take you 9.5 years at 10% a month, saving over time, to create a nest egg of $127,200 to generate 6% interest. It's out there. You can find investments that'll pay 6% APR. That will generate a leveraged income of $636 a month. Can I tell you that that's what our Pro 3s make on average? So would you rather do that in 3 to 5, maybe 10 years, doing something that you love, changing people's lives, or working for somebody that can't even remember your name, that you have to ask permission to go to the restroom? Trading time for dollars, 9.5 years. Let's take it one more level. 25.2 years will generate $500,000 in the bank. Leveraged, that will be about $3,000 a month, roughly. Can I tell you that's about what our Pro 5s make on average? So even if it took you 10 years, that's half the time it takes the conventional coin-operated employee to do the same thing. And it's residual leveraged income over time, month after month, year after year, as long as people continue to consume our products, which I will until the day I die, Lord willing. Let's take it one more level. It would take the average employee or small business owner 46.4 years to generate $2.5 million in the bank. That will yield a $12,000 a month average leveraged income. That's exactly what our Pro 7s make. So is there a number on this chart that is compelling to you? Maybe it's $60 a month to cover your product. Awesome. Maybe it's $636 a month. Awesome. Maybe it's replacement income for you. I can tell you it's possible. I won't sugarcoat it and tell you it's easy, but it's absolutely possible. And if you're looking for something, I've never heard of a better business opportunity than this. Can you do this? Absolutely. We're going to help you. The person that invited you to this call will be your first point of contact to help make a decision. If you've got questions, by all means, get back with them. There's usually a couple different kinds of people by this point in the presentation. One is you need information. Right on. We've only been able to communicate 10 years of development and research, actually 11 years, actually more than that in an hour. So take what you've been able to glean from this presentation and go back to the person that invited you here and just say, hey, can you unpack a little bit more how you make money doing this? They can absolutely do that for you. Or if you need some more scientific validation, or just how to take our products, when to take our products, how many of the products should I take? They can help you with that information as well. But I want to invite you to consider the possibility that this is something that you've been looking for, you've been praying for. It was for us. And if that makes sense, if you see this the way that we saw it, we'd love to have you. It's my honor to be a part of this company, to be privileged to be asked to share this information with you. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Blue, and he'll wrap us up here. Look at that, 1 minute till 6.
You're awesome. Mark, I just want to thank you. I've watched a lot of presentations in my life, and I'll just say very, very thorough, very to the point. I hope everyone gets a chance to really think about, maybe rewatch if you need to. But here's my closing here. And Mark, thank you very much. I'll first of all thank you personally for your time. A lot of information, a lot of your time and study went into that, and for our benefit. So we thank you for that. All the distributors and those that are working the business and mentoring others and getting mentored. Just thank you for jumping on, and hopefully you learned a ton that you can use to progress your business. And then last, all the guests, thanks for jumping on today. This is what we do. We help others recognize that there's another way. We help others recognize there's a product, recognize there's a great investment, recognize that there's a possibility to have true ownership of a company, that you have good and bad. You have the ability to wake up at 2 p.m. and expect your business to grow, or you have the ability to wake up and work your business and turn it into something that will absolutely change your life. So you have options. So get with a person that put you on the call, follow up with them if they don't follow up with you, and make sure you let them know what you're interested in, because there are different options. There's a lot of different ways to get involved. And I'll just say this, for me personally, we hit that executive rank in the company along with 2 other people, 3 families in the whole company, but we did it in a really neat timing for it. We didn't recognize what was coming, but we did it February. We did it in January, and we were in our rec in February. 1 month after we hit that rank, we were in a car accident where 4 of our 8 family members were in the hospital. And I can just say over and over again, like I said, I don't expect that or wish that on anybody, but it was so nice to have dug that well and to have a different type of business. I was a firefighter paramedic growing up. And so I was usually on the other end of those accidents. I was the one picking people up, helping them get into the hospital. I'd never realized or imagined it would be me laying on that gurney. And I really never imagined looking across the operating room, the emergency room, and then later the operating room, seeing my wife in the same boat. And when both of you are in that position, it's not, I mean, who's getting up first, right? It's not, I got this, you get better. It's, we're both in the same boat. And having leveraged income, having a check show up month after month, having products that doctors to this day are wondering why things weren't as inflamed as they should be. What happened here? What happened there? It was amazing to have solutions. And I want to thank everyone for getting on the call. And I hope this can be a solution for you. I hope you find products, the investments there, and I really hope you find the ability to be business partners with us, and know that we do this every day. I'm a little gun shy because I am doing this tomorrow. I get to follow Mark. So if you want a very simple presentation tomorrow, jump on. Smaller words. Mark is amazing. I'm gonna have to go take some notes to compare to that. But thank you, buddy. Appreciate all of you guys. We'll close the call out. Get with the person that put you on the call, and we'll see you tomorrow. And we'll do this every day. We'll help you grow your business. And I'll say that again. We'll help you grow your business. Right? You go do the work. We'll do our part. We'll give you a hand. So